Yo, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing something I've been waiting to do forever. Ever since I got the car, I've been talking about doing this. I think I've said it a few times on the channel, but all my friends know and I know that I've been waiting to do this. This is something that is kind of crucial and super important, I would say, for your car. Today we are installing this guy. This is a chassis mount shifter from Garagistic. I received this as a gift, so I wasn't really sure on what shifter I wanted to run. It looks like somebody made my mind for me, which is perfect for me because I really wanted to buy like an RTD or, you know, a CAE or a AKG, but they're way expensive. And honestly, to get a feel for chassis mounts, this looks like a good entry level purchase, and I'm pretty stoked to use it, try it out. Hopefully I enjoy it because it's gonna be a bitch to go back in and change this out with something else. I'm not looking forward to this job. I'll just say that straight up. And I will also say that this may or may not be a DIY. Obviously I haven't filmed it yet, so I have no idea what I'll be willing to film. It's gonna be a pain. But all I know as a fact is that I went under there earlier. I tried to fit my hand in between kind of the drive shaft and where the linkage actually is, and it looks really tough. So I don't know if I'll actually be bringing the DSLR down there. I'll probably be filming some stuff with my phone to try and give everybody a representation, but I looked through some videos online and I could not find really any video where somebody was doing this with the transmission in, with the exhaust in, with the drive shaft in. But everyone I asked that's installed one of these shifters said you can leave all that stuff in. So we're gonna find out today that the opening is very small, so you kind of have to have little hands. I do not have little hands, so we'll see how it goes. I'm really banking on not being able or not having to remove the exhaust or the drive shaft. Oh yeah, don't let me forget it's gonna be 100 degrees by 2 p.m. All right, first and foremost, you're gonna wanna jack up your car. Get these jack adapters on ECS or Turner or wherever you would like, and they will save you a lot of time. I'm gonna try and lift this thing up a little bit. I'd like to think this goes without being said, but please use jack stands. Even jack stands help in this. Now they're not gonna raise the car up a whole bunch. But all these three, the weight of the car is on. This guy is up, but it's not flush, doesn't really matter. If the car was to lean or teeter-totter, it would go on the jack. There's nothing to worry about, but please use jack stands. I see a lot of videos of people just using jacks, which is great, but you know, if the jack fails, you're under the car. So use jacks, and then as a safety, use your jack and pump it maybe under the diff and put 2 wheels under the front wheels, so if all else fails, you're not going to be squished and you know, under your car. I don't know, it's not that hard to set up, and it's definitely doable, and it's definitely worth it. Alright, as you can see, it's under the diff, and got a little bit of added bit of security and safety here. Alright, now one last final thing I'm going to do before I get into this. You can leave your battery plugged in or leave it out. We're not really messing with anything electrical wise today, but I'm only doing it so I don't kill the battery, or if your car's on a tender or whatever, don't worry about it, but just disconnect the ground. Put a rag over the latch in case you shut your trunk on accident. Not that you can't get into it from here, but just makes it a whole lot easier. So let's actually pull out the old shifter and all that crap with it. Alright, so this may be hard to see because it's dark. I did just have a nice light set up, but it decided to take a shit. Anyways, you're gonna pull off your OEM shift knob. I got a condor knob here. They use standard hardware, so this is a 5/64 Allen. Now, if this is just an OEM BMW shift knob, you're gonna be able to pull the thing directly up. BMW uses like a slotted design. You'll see it in a second. It'll pull off. Then what you're left with is the shifter boot. Super easy. You can pry it out with your hands. and it's very, very easy. You're basically just gonna push from either end and it literally just comes out. This one came out a lot easier because it comes out very frequently. So anyways, then there's like a little foam insert. You can pull that out. That's literally just sound insulation, noise deadening, whatever. Then you won't be able to see it here. I'm not sure that you can see it, but I'll grab the camera and show you. Alright, now as you can see, kind of, here's your old shifter. There's lots of play in there. That is a lot of play. It almost feels like neutral, because here's neutral. You can see or not. Let me grab the flashlight here. See that rubber insulation? You want to pop that guy out, and then we'll actually be able to see the actual carrying arm or whatever it's called. You'll see how this whole thing works in a second. Alright, I think the idea was to actually be able to pull this out in one piece. That is not what happened. As you can see, we got all of this not in one piece. It's great. Alright, now you can see in here, this is your shifter. And if you see this kind of this cup that it sits in down there, oh, you can see the old boot is there. That whole cup it sits in and the actual arm, there is a hole in the ground. You can see the ground down there, so it looks like we dug to China successfully. And I'll see you down there, I guess, on my phone. I really don't know what this guy was for. I know this is a clip people complain about, but I put a screwdriver in there and just pried the sucker up. When I pull the whole shifter out of the car, you'll be able to see it better. I'll try and give you the best visual representation that I can. All I know is that I'm gonna get gloves. Alright, so you saw this clip. You'll start by taking that guy out. But let me show you how I got the actual selector rod disconnected from the shifter. Alright, you come in here, you see this. As you can see, the shifter is now free. Spins. It's not connected to anything at the moment. And you can see there's a selector rod down there. It is disconnected. Now what you can do is when that is connected to the shifter, you can take a flathead and you can wedge it in between where the selector rod is connected and the actual carrier right here. So the rod would normally sit right there. You wedge it in between, you pry, and you can pry that guy out. Again, don't worry about breaking it if you intend to replace it. What is the sense in trying to get it out cleanly if you're just not going to run it again? This is going to save you some time, and realistically it shouldn't be so seized to where the thing doesn't come out. It should just come out first rip. But this guy is free. Now it's time to get the shifter out. Now getting the shifter out is extremely simple. You're going to take the flathead point and you're just going to put it in one of the grooves and you're going to rotate it. I've already rotated it, but you're just going to put it in a groove, rotate it 90 degrees. Once you do that, it comes right out. Sorry, it's really hard to show you, but that is basically all I can do. Alright, so it's time to suit up. We're going to be doing the hard part of the removal process, which is going to be removing the carrier. Here's another thing about the chassis mount. People definitely recommend that you run solid mounts, which definitely makes sense. I'm just going to be careful not to, bang gears super hard in it until I do that. But we'll see. Anyways, I'm gonna go get that clip out of the way, and if I can film it, I will, and if I won't, I'll explain to you how to do it outside of the car. There are plenty of videos. I'll probably link a couple down below, stuff that you can follow if this doesn't help you. Alright, so we got this guy out of the car. So, you can see, here it is. Here's the carrier. I would say the hardest part about removing all your shifting linkage will be the carrier, specifically the clip that goes in this guy. Here's the clip. It'll be in there like that. Basically, you can see that? Now if I shut that down, you can't pull this out, when it's in the car at least. So you got this clip. Here it is, sitting in the car upright. You're gonna go in through the transmission tunnel, obviously, where you've been working the whole time. You're gonna have to wedge a screwdriver up into the clip and push it up. It's fucking hard. It's not easy, especially when it's seized up like this. Once you push it up, you'll probably break through the insulation, honestly, to get this clip all the way up. Then you can pull it free. And then you can wiggle the carrier out of its little, well, where the carrier is connected here. And then you can wiggle it out and pull this out of the little bushing that it sits in towards the back of the car. So, anyways, I believe maybe it went like this. Doesn't really matter, you get the point, or hopefully you do. But yeah. This is completely out. Now all we have to do is hook up the DSSR and the chassis mount. Alright, here's the old single shear. As you can see, it looks okay. Actually doesn't look cracked like it would. This thing's not focusing very well, I won't lie. There we go. So yeah, there's the old selector rod. Here is the dual shear selector rod, as you can see, 1-2 as opposed to the one arm. There's the dual shear from Garagistic. So I'm gonna install this. I know the filming is getting away from me. I really know the filming is getting away from me, but anyways, this guy is in. It's basically a sandwich plate. You just take the bottom, go in from the bottom, hold it up there. You can have somebody screw in the top for you. That's what I did. You can use zip ties. There's a few different methods to actually do it if you have no other chance to get somebody else to help you. But really, the most time efficient and best way is to have somebody come and screw the bolts down from the top while you're under the bottom, or vice versa. But yeah, so now that that's connected, I'm gonna go under and connect the DSSR. Interesting thing I've noticed is that there is play in this guy when you connect it to the actual shifter. So I may have ordered the wrong DSSR. I'm not sure. The length seems right, but I'm not 100% sure about the rest of it, so only time will tell. I have not put it up to the actual selector in the transmission yet, so I'm not sure how that fit will be, but all I know is when I fit it to the bottom of the shifter, so if this is sitting in the car and the shifter is up here at the bottom of the shifter where this actually mounts to, there's play in between here when it's connected, and I'd imagine that that'd account for a lot of shifter slop, and I don't want that. So hopefully I can figure something out with washers or something of that nature, and otherwise we're fucked. Alright, so it has been a few hours, but since you last saw me, it's probably been about 45 minutes. Let me explain to you what I did and where I fucked up, because I definitely fucked up and now I'm kicking myself for it. Alright, so the good thing is I actually did install the shifter. It is installed. I'll show you. Alright, now as you can see, I do have it installed. Here it is. Super extremely short throws. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then finally reverse. Yeah, it's definitely a very short throw, almost too short, so it's definitely adjustable, which is great news. Here's the bad news. So I believe I actually ordered the wrong DSSR, and I'll show you why I think that. So here's neutral. That's good. You'd want a little bit of side-to-side play in neutral. My issue is when you go into gear, there's the same amount of play, almost as much as before. Now, I believe that has to do with the dual shear and actually how it's connecting to the linkage. There's play in the linkage, like a good amount. There's a big gap in between, so it actually, the whole selector rod wobbles back and forth. That is not what we wanted. We want a very clear, clean, and tight fitment. Now there's a few things I can do. I'm thinking maybe I try and put the washers actually in between so it clears up that space, but I'm not sure if that's what I'm supposed to do. I believe it's designed to fit flush, and then those Derlin washers go on the outside. At this point, I think I'm going to leave this be for now, because I'm going to have to deal with this in the future no matter what. What I'm going to do is tighten these bolts down so they're 100%. I'm going to tighten this down because I want this at its shortest position. And then I guess all that I can do is order my transmission mounts, engine mounts, and do a part 2 when they get here. And I guess correct my DSSR mistake or figure out how to remedy the play in gear. So I guess with that being said, that is going to be the end of part 1 for this. As you can see, we got the shifter completely installed. I know it wasn't a complete DIY, but there are a lot of videos online. You kind of have to gather information between all of them because most of them are not good. Just let it be known that you can definitely do this without taking out the exhaust, without taking the driveline out. I don't know where all that bullshit comes from. It's definitely tough. It's hard. It's a bitch to get your hand in the clip for that little carrier on the actual transmission. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't call it harder than really anything else on this car. Everything about this car is a little bit challenging. So I wouldn't really say it's all that bad. If you feel like moving the exhaust out of the way, especially if you have a non-M car, you probably, you don't have 2 catalytic converters right in the way, and you don't have 2 pipes. So it's probably a little easier to get into. I think M cars have it the worst out of all of them. But yeah, it's definitely not that bad. Definitely order the right stuff in advance if you're planning on doing this. It's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to save you a lot of money. I don't think I can return that DSSR now. So either I put some washers in between it, or I don't know. I gotta eliminate the play because that is kind of the biggest issue I'm having at the moment. Alright, so it is the very next day. The last time I talked to you guys was when I got the shifter in and demonstrated the shifter slop that it still has. So after that, I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna make a part 2 to this later, and when I get my engine and transmission mounts, we'll deal with it. Anyways, when I start something, I have to finish it, otherwise it's gonna drive me batshit crazy. So I decided to come back out into the garage. I didn't bring the camera, and I got under the car for another 3-4 hours. And I will explain to you what I did. Alright, as you can see, this is the old selector rod joint. This was on the transmission. This is what your DSSR connects to on the transmission side of things, and then the other side goes to the shifter. So anyways, these get worn out. The foam in there gets worn out. You can't really see it. Actually, I don't even know if there's foam in there. Oh, I removed the foam. But anyways, there's very little foam left in there, so it had some play in it. This is the old style selector joint. So the new ones, the new OEM BMW ones are a little bit wider. They have the bushings, the bushings built in on either side. So if you take apart your linkage, you'll see the yellow washers are everywhere. These guys, I know it's not yellow anymore, but that's what used to be on the selector rod, like that, one on each side. Anyways, the new ones are a little bit wider, and they got the bushings built in, or the little washers built in. So the issue with that is, let me explain. So anyways, that's why I went under the car. I went to go replace the selector joint on the transmission with the new one from BMW. This is an OEM part. And unfortunately, the pins from Garagistic for their DSSR did not fit through the new selector joint. So now I got a selector joint that I just spent 3 hours replacing because I didn't lower the cross member or anything. I did everything in the car. I left, and I did that by hand, and it was a pain in the ass. It took about 3 hours. I'm not joking. I was under the car for about 3 hours. So after all of that I went through, I replaced this selector joint or whatever, and the pin didn't fit through it. Once I put the DSSR on the transmission side, I tried to put the pin through. Obviously the pin fits through their DSSR because those are the pins they provide for their DSSR. But for the selector joint, the pin did not go through, so I was trying to force it in there. Then I got the pin stuck up in the transmission tunnel on the selector joint. It was a total mess. So after it took me hours to install it, I uninstalled the selector joint, brought it out here. I put a slit in the little bushing that's in the little selector joint, so it freed up some tension. Able to slide the pin through, reinstalled it, took another hour or so, and then finally put the DSSR in. So then I'm thinking, well, at least I won't have any more play because, you know, that took a while, but at least I won't have to deal with any more play because it was super annoying. Well, I'm wrong. There is still, this is neutral, that's in gear. There's still a substantial amount of play. Now the shifter actually feels great. I do love the way it feels. My main complaint is coming from the DSSR. Now I either have to go in under the car once more again and put the little yellow washers in between the shifter and the DSSR shears, which is ridiculous. It should fit flush. This is a DSSR from Garagistic and a shifter from Garagistic. So the fact that they don't match up like at all makes no sense to me, and it's very, very, very frustrating because I spent a lot of time all to have that shifter play. There's a few different things I can do, and that kind of varies on, I guess, what my decision is gonna end up being. I don't know. I may go under there. I'm not touching the car today. I was under that car for probably 6 hours yesterday, like underneath it. I swear I got like claustrophobic over time, so I just don't want to deal with it today. I'm probably not going to. I could go under there, put some yellow washers like the ones I removed from the old linkage, and then maybe that would eliminate most of the play. But at this moment, I think what I want to do is order a DSSR that fits better. As in terms of finding one, I'm not sure. I don't want to spend a bunch of money on a DSSR, and I'm 100% sure Garagistic is not going to take this back because I've already installed it. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit like at all. So if you're planning on ordering from Garagistic, just beware, and their customer service is not great. I've tried to contact them multiple times previously with questions about the shifter and stuff like that, and what I needed to order for it because their website is very unclear. So I did order their DSSR, the only one they order for, or they offer for E36s, M3s, whatever, because it's really, it shouldn't be that hard. It's a dual shear selector rod. It either fits or it doesn't fit. So in this case, it didn't fit without lots of play in between. So that's what's actually causing the shifter slop. It's not the shifter itself. The shifter feels incredible, seriously. It's super notchy. I really do like it. But I would be uncomfortable to drive the car with that much play, with the fear of shifting into the wrong gear, because those gears are so close together now, with having that shift throw super short, and the shifter all around is just such a tight throw. Now again, there's plenty of different things you can do to remedy that. I shouldn't have to make modifications to it. It should come out of the package ready to go. Again, my whole mind is blown about, you know, the brands are the same. This is apparently for this proper shifter, and it doesn't even fit remotely close. There's like just a huge gap. So that is what is causing the play. All right, hopefully you guys are taking something away from this. Just be careful where you're buying stuff from. And really, you gotta read the reviews, because people definitely know what they're talking about, especially with these smaller companies. They're not gonna get everything right. And if their customer service is bad and they get something wrong, how are you gonna get your money back or the product right or something situated? I'm not very stoked with Garagistic. I probably won't be ordering from them again. Now, good news is, when I was under the car, I noticed the bushings for the transmission were not OEM, which is great news, because they are actually like solid bushings with like a polyurethane bottom half, and the top half is solid. So I'll throw a picture up, because I did take a picture of those, and you'll see. I don't know which bushings they are. I tried to look online to see, but I could not find anything that looked similar to them. They're definitely not OEM, but they look solid to me. So I don't have to worry about bushings for the transmission. That is basically the silver lining in this whole thing. Now, I know this video is definitely all over the place. I'm really bad at filming content. When it's just me, it's really hard to set up shots and stuff. When I'm under the car, I gotta crawl out of the car every single time. I gotta show you something. Again, I couldn't even fit the camera where I was working. So hopefully you understand that. There are lots of videos, lots of resources online, and I will be happy to answer any questions down in the comments below. I can definitely answer questions. I just didn't film the whole thing, if that makes sense. Overall, the job was definitely difficult. It was complicated. I would recommend taking some stuff out, maybe the exhaust and the driveline, or the drive shaft, because I didn't remove anything. Even to replace a selector joint on the transmission, I removed absolutely nothing, and that definitely probably made the job take longer. but I didn't have to remove that stuff. And actually, I'd say the job is completely doable, 100%, not even that hard until you reach the selector joint process. Now, if you don't replace that, that's, you know, whatever, but a lot of play from your shifter slop will actually come from the selector joint. So I did end up replacing that. That took a majority of the time, but other than that, it's definitely a smooth sailing process. If you got the extra time and you got the room, go ahead and take all that stuff off so it's easier to get to. But again, it's not necessary. I did it without it, and I did it in under a day. Honestly, I had the shifter in the car in about 4 hours, fully functioning. DSSR was hooked up, but when I went to go back into the car and replace the selector joint, it took a lot longer. Anyways, I know that's a lot of talking and a lot of rambling, but thank you guys so much for watching. I got something good coming for the E36. It's actually here. It came from Russia. That's all that I'm going to tell you. And I'm very stoked to install it. It's another cosmetic mod, but you know me. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Peace.